All right, everybody. Week 2 is in the bag. We're back on Creative Notice podcast. And always, man, we always bring you some heat. And the heat for today's topic in week 2 is upsets, and more upsets. Baylor goes down to BYU, which I wouldn't say is a big upset. I mean, they had an epic game last year, 38-24. Baylor pulled that one out. But this one went to overtime, and Baylor lost. But the real good ones, the real kickers, is Notre Dame, trash ass. Marcus Freeman, you better figure something out, buddy, because at this rate, you will not be the head coach come next year. I promise you, and I'm so sorry that's going to be an unfortunate situation for you, but you better figure something out quick, man. That game was a shocker. You could tell quarterback, they don't have. You go on that recruiting line, when y'all go out and do y'all some recruiting, you better sell it to quarterbacks. You're coming here to start. Just tell the quarterbacks. They come in there to start. Because you don't have a quarterback. You don't have a running back. You need all that. You just need to sell. Sell it. Who gives a damn about the kids that's on the roster right now? Sell it. Because the quarterback you had 2 interceptions, then he threw that pick 6. Yeah, bro. That ain't going to work, man. Notre Dame, y'all are far way better than what you are. Marshall hasn't done nothing in years. They fell off the map years ago. Marshall is still a pretty decent team in their respective league, in their respective division, in their respective conference. But compared to Notre Dame, that should not have been a hard one. Y'all paid $1.2 or $1.49 million to that? Oh, come on, man. Yeah, we've got to... You can't lose like that at home, man. You just had a tough fight against Ohio State. Which, applaud to you for what you did against Ohio State, man. But to come out and to lose to Marshall, yeah, it's back to the drawing board. Figure out who's going to be the new starting quarterback, because clearly the young man that you got going on right now, he isn't it. He isn't dialed in like he's supposed to be. Texas A&M. You know what? Texas A&M, Jimbo Fisher, look, I've said this on previous videos. Texas A&M is who they are, man. Like, that coaching staff is who they are. All that talent and the failure to get it to develop into the pure talent that they needed to be is going to be a hard question for a lot of fans to understand and have to answer. This was Appalachian State, and you should have came in this game playing Appalachian State like they are a true Power 5 team, and you should have played them like they are a top 10 team. You see what they did in North Carolina State last week. They damn near beat North Carolina State. I mean, not North Carolina State. They damn near beat North Carolina, the Tar Heels, Mac Brown, and his team. They damn near beat them. Almost beat them. And you got to understand, that quarterback that they got, he was a backup to who else? Trevor Lawrence. So it wasn't like he was a bad player. He transferred to Duke at the Clemson, which I don't blame him leaving Duke. I'd have hauled ass and left Duke too. Duke is not a team that's going to help put him on the map. I don't give a damn about. Don't tell me about where Daniel Jones came from. Look what Daniel's doing at New York with the New York Giants right now. He has this. This is Daniel Jones last year to prove something for the New York Giants. So who cares that he came from the Duke? Duke is Duke, man. Duke is not a power football team. They are a power basketball team. That's where they make their bread and butter at. That's where they put all their funding at. That's where they push. So that's where they continue to push. So he left Duke and went to Appalachian State. And look what he's doing at Appalachian State. Damn near beat North Carolina. They damn near knocked off they knocked off one Power 5 and damn near knocked off another week before. Jimbo Fisher, boy, I don't know what to say about you. You better beat Alabama this year. You better go to Alabama and whoop them this year. You better take their heads off. You better embarrass them. Because right now, you're not looking too well. With the schedule that you got left going up, like, you're not looking good at all, man. Like, this right here is just unacceptable, man. Like, to lose the way that you did is by far confusing. Like, you should never have lost that game. You should never lost that game at all. You should have won that game. You should have handled Appalachian State. And who cares about it being competitive, which is fine. But lose to Appalachian State, you should never have done that. And everybody better understand, Appalachian State, I don't know who's their boosters, but you need to get them out of what they're in, and you need to get them in another conference. I don't care what conference. Put them in the ACC. They will win championships in the ACC. Put Appalachian State in the ACC. They will scare the hell out of North Carolina State. They will scare the hell out of Pitt. They will scare the hell out of North Carolina every season because most likely they're going to play them. Put them in the ACC. Put them boys, y'all need to get in contact who you need to contact because you need to get them in there. Because week 2 was good, man. I liked it, man. Those 2 big upsets was great. Alabama. All right, Alabama. You sure as hell didn't have a great game. You sure as hell didn't have a great game. But thank God you had Bryce Young. Thank God you had Bryce Young. Because your wide receivers ain't do shit. You can tell from what Alabama had with Jerry Jeudy and Julio Jones and all those wide receivers. There's John Mechie, all of them. Jalen Waddle. All of them. All of them. You can tell that from that crop that they had to where they at now, man, you can clearly tell. Hold on, let me get a sip of this coffee. You can clearly tell they fell off. You can clearly tell that Alabama is definitely not the same Alabama when it comes to wide receiver play. Running back play, you can definitely tell. Because Jaheim Gibbs is not bad. Remember, he transferred from Georgia Tech, and when he went to Georgia Tech as a recruit, he was a high 4-star recruit. So he's not a bad running back. He just isn't the prototypical running back that Alabama usually goes after. Now, this year, Alabama, their recruiting class, Alabama's about to shake up. I can promise you this. Alabama's going to haul in a very good recruiting class, wide receivers and running back. They got the 2 best running backs in the nation right now in their recruiting class. But from what we saw, I promise you this. And you know what? Kudos. Quinn Ewers, I give it to you, props. If he would have still been in the game, I promise you, Alabama would have lost that game. It came down to a tight one. It would have came down to a tight one. Or they might have got their heads blown off. Because that Worthy, wide receiver Worthy, hell, he was torching that secondary. He was torching. Remember, Alabama secondary has Elias Ricks and Kool-Aid. Elias Ricks, transferred from LSU, the big-time 5-star recruit. Worthy was having his day with that secondary. Couldn't nobody contain him. Bijan Robinson didn't get going, and you could definitely tell Alabama's game plan was to eliminate Bijan Robinson. But Bijan Robinson he wasn't doing bad. He just got contained very well. Dallas Turner and Will Anderson pretty much dialed in pretty well on him. Pretty much the whole defense dialed in pretty well on him. But when Quinn Ewers went out with that shoulder injury, which comes down to be a sprain and probably most likely an tendon, you knew that, all right, this is about to be bad. And then they had Hudson Card there slinging the ball, limping, and they still almost lost. Like, this is the crazy part about this. Alabama almost lost to the first string quarterback out for the game. The second string quarterback limping. And then you're going to sit here and tell me that they still the best team? I can promise you this. Alabama won't be number 1. I can promise you this, come the new AP poll release come Tuesday, Alabama won't be number 1. They will not be number 1. Alabama's definitely going to fall out. They probably most likely to fall down to number 4. Some teams that was 4 and 5 will move up, like Michigan. Alabama just might fall down to number 5, number 6. Michigan is going to move up. Clemson going to move up. Ohio State will move up. Georgia will take the number 1 spot, which let's go ahead and chime in this. Let me tell you fans some fucking shit. Georgia is good. Defense lights out as always. I know I've gave Stetson Bennett his kudos, but damn, buddy, you keep throwing them high-ass balls to these 6'7" players, man, and they still struggling to catch him, man, you're going to have to figure something out. That offense was no-show. No-show. The run game was pretty decent. Kendall Milton was getting the ball, and he was doing his damn thing. He was running. Kenny McIntosh, he's very well, but I need to see him doing some more running. Georgia, you beat a Samford team 33-0. You shut them out. They didn't even go in the fourth quarter. They cut it down to like 12 minutes, 10 minutes in the fourth quarter. So they didn't even play a whole fourth quarter. But for it to be what it was, I'm not surprised Georgia won that game. You're supposed to win that damn game. You're supposed to win that damn game. You know, you did what you're supposed to do. Ohio State, you damn sure didn't do what you were supposed to do. You were supposed to win that. Not Ohio State, Notre Dame. You're supposed to win that game. You didn't do it. You let Marshall come in. You didn't do what you were supposed to do. You see what I'm saying? Notre Dame, you didn't do what you're supposed to do. You just let Marshall come in there and kick your ass and tell you to deal with it. Now, they knocked on your front door and kicked your ass and say, deal with it. Same thing with you, Texas A&M. Appalachian State came in there, the big boy, and said, what you gonna do? And kicked your ass. Them folks out there in that mountain came down and kicked your ass. So, you know, a few other games, Clemson did his thing, you know, which is not surprising. Furman, you know, whatever, Furman. Arkansas and South Carolina. Gamecocks. I think you walked into a buzzsaw real quick fast, because remember, you struggled in your week one to get things rolling. You struggle against Georgia State to get things rolling. So for you to go to Arkansas, I'm not surprised that it turned out the way it is. Arkansas is good. Now, I want to let everybody understand something. Remember, Arkansas started off like this last year. And they came out the gate, you know, looking very well. They did their thing, but we're going to see what they can do. South Carolina, I mean, that was a good game. South Carolina stayed in and kept fighting, but, you know, the interception that Desmond Ritter threw in the end zone, the safety that he got from throwing in the end zone, not Desmond Ritter, Spencer Rattler, my bad. Spencer Rattler threw the interception in the end zone, then he threw a safety. They were only down like 42-30, and, you know, they still had a shot. And the head coach, you got to be the dumbest person. Who does an onside kick with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter when you're only down 30-42? Like, time it. Like these desperate coaches are doing some desperate things. Like, you've got to time it, and you got to time this stuff right. Like, you know, that was stupid and dumb. And I really just didn't understand it, but it was stupid and dumb. But Arkansas pulled that one off. That was a good game. I liked it. Arkansas pulled that one off, and I think it's going to be more games like that for Arkansas. Probably not too much now. I think they got a little cupcake game coming in, but Arkansas is going to be a challenge for Alabama and Texas A&M. Arkansas is going to kill LSU. I'm just letting everybody know that now. Nebraska, Scott Frost, bye-bye. See you later. Get him the fuck out of here. Nebraska, you need to react. You need to react now. You need to react quick. Georgia Southern came in there and kicked y'all ass. Came to Nebraska. They traveled all the way from Georgia in a different time zone to beat you in Nebraska. Get Scott Frost. I don't care if he's the whatever y'all thought he was. Yeah, he was the great. He played at Nebraska. He did a great job. And who gives a shit? His first year, he won a national. Stop this shit. They didn't win a national championship. They proclaimed themselves. They went 13-0 and beat up an Auburn team that went through a gauntlet between Alabama and Georgia. Played Georgia twice and played Alabama at the end of the season. And you beat up on an Auburn team that's had their players set out. Congratulations. Whoop-de-whoop. He did in his first year. Those were none of his players. He inherited those players. Now you see what he's doing at Nebraska. He is killing those players. He is making the players look like trash. Get Scott Frost up out of there. Y'all better react real quick. Get Scott Frost up out of there, because he's tripping. He's tripping. This man is tripping. He's crazy. He's stupid. I don't know what else to say about him, but he's tripping. He is putting Nebraska in the Stone Ages, man. Either y'all get him up out of there now, or y'all going to continue to go backwards. The next one, Kentucky and Florida. Florida. Oh, Florida. Oh, Florida. Where were you boys at? Where were you? Y'all look good. You know, I didn't know who to root for in this game. Be honest with you. I was just watching. I was excited because Look, I would love for Georgia to play in the swamp. Imagine these home-to-home games where Georgia plays in the swamp or Florida plays at the stadium and Georgia come to travel to Georgia. Man, the energy there will be off the roof. It'll be too much for people to handle. But I really feel like this game was good, man. Stoops, congratulations, being the all-time winners coach. You passed Bear Bryant. I give it to him, man. Stoops is putting Kentucky on the map. Y'all got to give this man his praises, man. To go into that program that's pretty much a basketball program, but the way that basketball team is looking, it's looking like it's transitioning to a football team. For him to go there with the talent that he had when he got there, to change that program to what they are, to beat Florida twice, last year and this year, to beat them at their home, and then come down to Florida and whoop their ass in their home. Man, I'm telling you, man, Stoops is doing a good job. And the fact that he's most likely I bet you folks have reached out to him to get him to come to their programs. I wouldn't have been surprised if LSU have reached out to him. I wouldn't be surprised if any other top programs that got the bread that can spend it reach out to this man, because he is doing a hell of a job down there. And you know what? And also shout out to Billy Napers to go down that program to do what they did. I saw somebody was talking trash about Florida saying, we were talking about before the game how Florida is terrible because they let Sanford hang 52 on them. Remember, these are the same players that Florida has. We ain't gonna say the same. The majority of them are still the same. I just say that. Majority of them still the same. Same players that was there last year when Sanford came in there and put up 52 points on them, right? And they won, but they put up 52 points on them. The difference was the coaching staff, the coaching energy, the coaching atmosphere, the way they game plan, the way they brought the energy, the way they got those kids to buy in. Dan Mullen he is not Billy Napers. He is not. Dan Mullen is nowhere near Billy Napers. And y'all got to understand that. Dan Mullen, he's a great offensive coordinator. But at a program like Florida, you remember he was at Mississippi State, so he looked good at Mississippi State. The expectations are not the same at Mississippi State like they are in Florida. They're just not. The boosters are not the same in Mississippi State like they are in Florida. Florida expects national championships. Mississippi State expects to be at least number 4 in their division, at least to go bowling. They don't give a damn what they record is. They just want to go bowling. Mississippi State Mississippi State is just like, Mississippi State is actually a good baseball team. Put it to you that way. Florida, Billy Napier in Florida and them guys, they're doing a hell of a job. That game could have went either way. It was just all about who's going to make the least mistakes. And, Anthony Richardson, unfortunately, you was on the other side of the stick where you made the most mistakes. The interception, which that Kentucky defensive player, to sit there and snag that ball one hand out of midair when he was making a pass, very good. Elite. And then Anthony Richardson turns around and throws another interception that turns into a pick six. And that's what pretty much sealed the game. And then it was back and forth. Like, Florida had plenty of opportunities, but Anthony Richardson, I think you could tell once mistakes start piling up on him, it gets to him and he shuts down. He shuts down because he just started throwing, passes that just don't make any sense. Start throwing these crazy passes out of the woodworks, underpasses, overpasses, too far to the ground, too early, too late. It's his game was off. He was done after that, and that's what pretty much happened in this situation with him. So kudos to Kentucky, great job winning that game, showing Florida who Florida is, bringing them back down to reality. They're gonna pretty much drop, which they should have been. Most likely they'll drop down to number 20. They'll replace Kentucky, but unfortunately Kentucky won't be able to move up because Kentucky isn't a brand like that. So Kentucky will move up to probably 15, the most 14. And then I won a big game, Pittsburgh and Tennessee. Them Volunteers went to Pittsburgh and beat them in overtime. Good job, man. Tennessee, look, I'm watching you, Tennessee. I'm watching you. I see you. Because I got to come to Florida. I got to come to Georgia. Whoo. Tennessee is. I'm watching you, buddies. I'm watching you. But hell of a job, man, to go in there and beat Pittsburgh, man. Pittsburgh is not the same Pittsburgh from last year. Y'all got to remember that. They had if I'm not mistaken, a first-round pick, right? They had a first-round pick quarterback. Definitely going to have elite wide receiver that won I forgot what trophy he won last year for being the best wide receiver. Won that last year. So, Pittsburgh lost a lot. It's not the same Pittsburgh. Number one wide receiver gone, went to USC to go join Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams, which they're having a hell of a time right now. I mean, at this point, y'all better be on notice because these fellas going around knocking on everybody's doors and taking their cookies. Just being honest. But they did a good job, man. Tennessee went in there, beat Pittsburgh, handing them their loss, which, I wasn't surprised the game was going to turn out the way it did because Pittsburgh hung in there with West Virginia in week 0. Like, Pittsburgh isn't bad. With Ken Slovis at the helm, they don't have nothing to worry about, man. They might lose another game. I give them that. They'll definitely lose another game. But, they should go 10-2, man. Because, I mean, they're a good team. They battle test at this point. So when you battle test at this point, you ain't got nothing to really worry about. And then another game, one more game. Yeah, we're gonna get in one more game. Let me see if we can find another game to chime in on. And there was so many. I mean, I was trying to keep up with them. And it was some good games out. But the top ones we spoke about, Michigan won there. Houston, number 25, Houston lost to Texas Tech. Y'all should have saw this coming. I'm just saying, y'all should have saw this coming. Like, Texas Tech struggled against UTSA. Now, UTSA was good last year. They were rolling. I mean, I think they were damn near undefeated come week 9 last year. But it's UTSA. Okay, Houston, bye-bye. You out the rankings, which you should never been in. That's what I'm saying. When these rankings first came out, I was looking at it, I was like, well, why are these people ranked, man? It's, who's coming up with this stuff, man? And then, Kansas State, Missouri, Eli Drinkwitz came from Appalachian State, and he comes to the big boy, SEC, to coach the Missouri Tigers. Missouri Tigers is not a... Okay, Missouri Tigers are not a bad team, I guess. I don't know what Missouri Tigers are. I just know Missouri Tigers are who they are. Like, you shouldn't expect more at all. You just shouldn't. I wouldn't. I mean, hell, I'm just saying. I wouldn't expect a lot from Missouri Tigers. I wouldn't expect them to go in there and be the best of the best. But you got your ass kicked by Kansas State. Now, you got your ass kicked by Kansas State. 40-12? And you got the number 1 wide receiver on your roster? Y'all about to have a rough season. Y'all about to have a rough season. It's about to be a long, rough season for Missouri. But overall, man, week 2 was fulfilling. I think this was a great week 2. Other games, USC handled their business against Stanford. Look, I'm telling y'all, you're on notice. USC has put a notice out there. If you're sleeping on USC, you're stupid. I'm just putting that out there right now. If you're sleeping on USC, you are stupid, dumb. Them Trojans are something not to play with. Alabama, have they been exposed? I'm not going to say they've been exposed. I'm going to just say Alabama has a lot of cleaning up to do. And great thing, this is the thing everybody got to be careful. When teams start having early mistakes early in the season, like Georgia didn't stay consistent, Alabama got caught limping, Ohio State almost got exposed against Notre Dame. This is when you got to be careful because what happens is once week 5 and 6 roll around, they clean up a lot of that. And they're rolling they're coming downhill like freight trains. Utah bounced back against Southern Utah. Miami, let's chime on that real quick. So I don't know if anybody watched that game, but going into the second half, Miami and Southern Miss was tied 7-7, and I turned the game on, and then I said 7-7. All right, Mario Cristobal, You knew there was an upset coming this week. You just knew it. You had to have feel it because Alabama started off slow. So that right there should have told you all these players were caught slipping. Everybody's getting caught slipping in week 2. And that's what I'm saying. Week 3 and week 4, I feel bad for anybody else. But Miami versus Southern Miss, they beat them 30-7. But if you didn't watch the game, you'd have thought, if you didn't watch the game, you seen 30-7, you'd be like, oh, that's just traditional. You beat up on a weak-ass team. But no, Southern Miss was hanging in there. Southern Miss was hanging in there to the second half, and then all hell broke loose for Southern Miss after that. Then Miami, Mark Cristobal probably went back then, got in their ass and, chewed them out about that shit. Wisconsin lost to Washington State.
I found this on the web.
Wisconsin lost to Washington State. Wisconsin, whatever. Oh, hey, Vandy. Go sit your asses the fuck down. Go sit down somewhere, man. Vandy. Wake Forest. You know what? You probably would have beat Wake Forest if Sam Hartman didn't play. But Sam Hartman's back. The kid is back. ACC y'all better hide and run. You better hide and run. If you thought ACC was up for grabs, no sir, no sir, no sir. No. Not for grabs today. So, overall, it was a good one. Vandy, you're Vandy. So you just stay Vandy. Don't worry about trying to come back out. Just do what you do best. You probably will win your next 2. There's some more scrubs. I don't know. Hell, you got embarrassed so bad at home, you might stay crying after that and get beat some more. But week 2 is in the bag. Week 3 is coming up. Them dogs doing their thing. Still a little bit of coffee. Them dogs doing their thing, but as always, Creative Notes Podcast. Like, subscribe, and we out. Peace.